like, okay, that's it. I got it. That's my aha moment. So Yang, is that an aha moment for you?
Actually, I didn't take it too seriously about the quarter. Maybe he doesn't realize it, but before our quarter, I have spotted his angry moments or unhappy moments.
Without him knowing.
Several times I witnessed how he deal with his temper. And
Wow.
when the quarter happened, I kind of knew how to deal with this man.
Mm.
So yeah,
How to deal with this man?
She's a very smart woman.
I know. So I quickly apologized to him what he was not
Wow.
happy about it, and then I expressed myself how I felt about it, and because he really value about the honesty. So yeah, based on my observation, I just followed my protocol how to handle him, and then it went well, luckily.
Yeah. Was there any point of uncertainty before that? You know, even like before the marriage, you got the first 100 days. The second 100 days is after the proposal, right? Isn't it? So, and after that proposal, then you wait for another 100 days to get married. Before that day of getting married, right? Anyone can just pull the plug, right? So, is there any points of uncertainty, like, hey, I think I need to rethink this over? Is there Plan B?
Yes, I had. Yes, I
Yeah,
had.
tell me.
Um, we made a first trip to Korea together with his sister, and to introduce my parents to him. Because when he by the time he proposed to me, I announced my decision to my parents. My parents haven't met him in person yet,
Mm, mm.
so that trip, I unfortunately I realized that I witnessed his very different side of Ling, which he was totally didn't have any tolerance towards to uncontrollable situation. Because Korea is not familiar, and then especially my hometown is Busan, and then most probably he never met any elderly Koreans before, and he probably never experienced a local lifestyle in Korea before. So when he experienced all those kind of as simple as a breakfast menu, as simple as how my parents treated him and his sisters, and the planning of journey while the 4 days of trip, everything was he didn't have any control because it was my parents' time for them to
Pamper
enjoy,
us.
yes, enjoy having future son-in-law in their house. But he was totally unhappy, and then because he doesn't like the situation that he doesn't have a control. I didn't know that, and I saw very unhappy face when my parents offered him a food, and then when his sister was beside him, which is a totally comfortable person in his life, and he didn't try to hide his unhappiness, but he just be too honest to his sister. And then even though they're speaking in Mandarin, I've been living in Singapore for 18 years. I could feel, I could sense what they're talking about, and yeah. So after I saw that 4 days of Tailing's behavior, and there was, I thought it's a serious disrespect towards my parents and my grandparents, and I didn't know how to deal with this cultural gap. It seems he couldn't really accept Korean culture at all. So yeah, that was most dangerous moment.
Yeah, and I think that maybe this is the crux of also our interview sharing. You know, the world is moving in such a way that it's a village, right? And this is more manifested in this pandemic. Like I've got a friend in the US. She's now being proposed to someone in New Zealand. Can you imagine? One is north, one is south, the deep ends of the world, and never met physically. Um, and I'm just thinking, uh, in a world that we are going so fast and in this huge acceleration, and we already have a space uh, when the world was really moving forward and when people are driving their careers, we really did not have a chance to meet. Can you imagine if with this, how are people going to meet? If you think about it, it's like, oh my God, it's like, I don't really, you really wouldn't know how the relationship life is going to be, or dating life is going to be, or marriage, or future marriages are going to be. Are they going to be like just meeting on match.com, etc.? And also, it presents this cultural explosion, right? When someone is going to meet someone, even though we say that we are, a global village, but when it comes to real life, yeah, you're going to really deal with it. You know, how do you actually manage that? Would you like to share the easing in phase, tailing for you? And Singapore being cosmopolitan, but we really are just living in huge cities, but we never really live in like smaller towns and the suburbs and the countryside, whereby people's lives are totally different. How do you um, manage this cultural exchange in your innermost core? How do you manage that?
So to be very honest, right, I don't think I managed it. I don't think I managed it.
You marry the right person, like he's so honest.
I think what I've realized through the incident that Soyan just mentioned, as well as throughout the period of time that we've been in Hong Kong, I realized that actually I'm not a very adaptable person. Whereas I used to think that I'm extremely highly adaptable.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I realized after I shifted out of Singapore is that actually Singaporeans are extremely protected. Because
Yes.
the government is really great, right? They take care of you, make sure that
Sheltered.
everywhere is safe.
Yeah.
Leave your keys at home, and nobody's gonna break into your house. There's
Open
no
the door.
thief, there's no violence, there's nothing that's gonna be happening.
Yeah, very sheltered life. Yeah.
Sheltered. And because we have been so sheltered,
Yeah.
that was when I realized that when I came over to Hong Kong, especially, I actually really couldn't adapt. I thought that I could because I'm a global citizen, right? I mean, Singapore is known as a very global city. I thought I was a very global citizen. I thought I could adapt really well. And the reality and the fact is that I couldn't, right? And I think, like I said, when I said earlier that the key thing is that I don't think I managed it. I think she managed it for me, right? So I'm going to give an example. Since we got married, she has been changing my diet because she thinks that my diet is not a very healthy diet, and if you're going to live 100 years, I need to start today by eating healthy. So what she believes in is that we should have more vegetables. We should eat more vegetables, having more fiber, having more fruits. These are simple things which gives you vitamins that actually help you in your meals and help you in your nutrition.
Yeah.
But I'm not a person who believes in pills, right? So to me, every single time up to today, I'll joke with her, why am I eating medicine? Right? The pills, I said, oh, I'm a junkie, but I'm eating so much medicine now. Right? Those are things that I'll joke with her. But the reality of it is that actually, through her, she actually understands that change in person and change in behavior actually starts from very small little steps. So I'm going to give an example. In Singapore, I was very used to eating breakfast. Your bak chor mee, your Hokkien mee, I'm very used to eating that as breakfast.
Yeah.
In Hong Kong, I didn't have that. And when I didn't have that, I lost my temper. I was very bad tempered because I'm not used to the change. The change actually disrupted my life. That change actually caused me to be unhappy. So I started by eating bread. And she felt that having bread is basically the same as eating carbo, which is not very good. So what she did and she started first making sandwiches. So bread with a lot of vegetables, with a lot of egg. So she started tweaking some of the things. And she knows I like to eat fried rice. So for lunch and dinner, she'll cook fried rice. But the fried rice is actually about 90% vegetables. Carrots and the peas and the vegetables fine pieces that I find it too troublesome to pick it up. So she chops, and once you get used to eating it, so over time I definitely used to eating it. And when that happens, then the pieces gets bigger. The carrot size, instead of this small little piece, it starts growing, right? Literally as well. And I think that was actually how I actually adapted to culture as well. Because not once again did she, I mean, we went to visit her parents a couple of times. I don't think I am the best son-in-law, to be very honest. Up to today, I can't speak Korean. I think her parents have been really been very nice, where they didn't force me to speak Korean. In Korean culture, there's also a lot of, they value respect a lot. So there's a lot of things that they actually look into. So for example, if we are drinking soju, right? When a younger person is drinking with an older person, you need to look away.
Oh.
When we drink, you need to look away. That's actually it's part of tradition and part of respect.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Singapore, right, we do cheers and we drink like you look at the person straight in the eye and I drink and cheers, right? And I thought that was me being respectful without realizing that that was actually me being disrespectful from the point of view. Parents were actually very tolerant to it. She was very tolerant to it. And across each of these, they never told me that actually this is not good. You know what? She subtly told me that, oh, you know, when we were watching drama, she'll tell me, oh, you know, when a younger person is drinking soju with an older person, they look away. Oh, that's our Korean culture. And I go, oh, shit. Last for that.
So a lot of culture is exchanged through the Korean, the world-renowned Korean drama.
I think the key is that at a point of time when something happens, a lot of Singaporeans tend to, this is wrong, don't do it. We're brought up that way. But what she has done is that she's actually eased it in. And at a point of time, you need to point out that you're wrong because you've already done it, right? And you don't have to go on this is wrong, this is right, because in Korean culture, there's a lot of respect. So to her, also what she believes in is that it's just different ways of doing things. And because different ways of doing things, then it's a case where, okay, you have your way, which I respect, and this is the other way, which I hope you respect. And then she'll start sharing with me. And it's up to me whether I actually do it or not. And over time, I think that's something that we've picked up as we live together, that I realized that, oh, this is what we should do. It's the same as the Singapore culture, right? She realized that, oh, okay, Singaporeans actually like to eat your ban mian, your carrot cake, cai tao kueh, and all these things for breakfast. But it's her what she believes in because she thinks it's
yeah.
What she will do is that she'll still accompany us to go and eat, just that she won't eat. And then my respect is, okay, let's not do it that way. Over time, subsequently, I told her, I said, I think it's okay, why don't we stay at home and eat your salad since you enjoy that at home. So these are things in which I think from a cultural point of view, both of us actually, change was actually eased in very slowly. We took 3 years. About to introduce changes to each other's lifestyle. We didn't immediately say, oh, tomorrow you have to do this because look, you're in Singapore, you should do it. Or tomorrow you should be doing that. Look, this is a Korean culture, you must follow that. We didn't do any. There was a lot of respect in that sense.
From the woman's point of view, so Young is actually doing a lot of effort in very small steps, and you have to be really conscious about that. So Young, is there something you want to share about guiding this relationship in a very subtle, feminine, unspoken way? It seems like you're really guiding this, nurturing it.
Because for me, most important thing is my happiness, and my happiness comes from his happiness. So
Well said.
yeah, if it's uncomfortable, it affects my mood, and then I don't want to make myself unhappy. I was very clear. My happiness comes first. So
Wow, well said. The quote of the day for all the women. My happiness comes first, and my happiness is depends on his happiness. I think this is very well said. You know, and especially when both of you are very international figures, right? I mean, you lived in Singapore. So Young has lived in Singapore for 18 years, right? 18 years. So like you're almost like half a Singaporean, and then you're gonna give up your PR, and then our friend, comrade, Ling, Singaporean, okay, cosmopolitan mindset. Now going to the I should say the another part of Korea, not so much Seoul, the main city, but you know to other parts of Korea, Busan, etc., and interacting with the older generation, isn't it? And you also coming from a very international background, and now both of you are in Hong Kong, isn't it? So the integration in is actually an epitome of a modern couple, isn't it? It's really an epitome. I mean, people who are living in New York, the next few years they could be living in Singapore. After that, they could be living in Europe. After that, they could be living in South Africa. So when you plug yourself out from a culture, I would probably pose this to the woman. Was it harder for you now that you got to not got to plug yourself out from Korea to come to Singapore, now that plug yourself out from Singapore and then to go to Hong Kong? Well, was it an easy transition for you? And then you are actually going in with a marriage, which is so different with someone else. Was it difficult for you as a person
I'd rather say it's too much excitement. And then I think it's a God gift.
or
Because,
God gift
yeah, God
when
gift
the time is right? Yeah,
exposed to different culture and different countries.
yeah,
Because my one of the strong belief is I have to admit that I don't know, I can't know everything, right?
yeah,
So I have to admit I don't. So if you don't know what you do, you ask and learn, and that's
yeah,
how I make myself a better person. So
yeah.
through this international marriage, through living in Hawaii, through living in Singapore, through living in Hong Kong, I'm really learning. Yeah, so much valuable thing for me
Mm,
to grow as a person.
yeah,
I very appreciate, and
yeah,
then I will.
appreciate. Yeah,
I'm very excited for future.
yeah. I have one last question, not to take up too much of your time because our conversation is almost an hour. It's so enjoyable with you guys. During this quarantine period, and we are still in the global pandemic, even though Hong Kong did not have a real shutdown, right? Hong Kong managed it so well. Just like in Taiwan, there wasn't a real shutdown because there was no need to, right? And even in Korea, in Seoul, even in Korea, there wasn't a real shutdown. The economy because the keepers was able to control the situation. Um, as opposed to certain other countries whereby there are real quarantine periods. But was there the period that you can say that okay during this period of the pandemic, both of you were really housed under one roof? There was so little entertainment you can get out. It was just really like homework or homework, just like it is just being both of you, not interacting with other people or the world, even though there wasn't a shutdown. How was it living under one roof whereby the world is shut down, not you? And then the world is shut down, and then you're now in the homes and just doing very little things. How was it? How was it beneficial? Was it straining? How do you characterize that?
I think it made our relationship stronger. So
Tell us.
yeah, I think what was interesting is that through this COVID situation, both of us came to a realization that we are both very introverts. We both actually enjoy staying at home a lot.
Mm,
And we find our own enjoyment in our own small little space, right? So in Hong Kong, the space is really tiny, right?
yeah,
I mean, if you look at Singapore, a house is probably about 3 times the size that we're staying in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
In a kind of sense. But in a smaller space, actually, we actually have our own space. We actually have we spend a lot of time chatting and talking. I mean, just last night we spoke until about midnight.
Yeah.
Because the things that we were discussing, we actually made an effort that every day we should always speak and we should discuss and chat about anything, right? And yeah, through all of these, I think COVID then allowed us to have more time at home together. And then that's where, a very typical day is where she will wake up, she'll do her meditation, and then we'll go walk the dogs together. And after we walk the dogs, come back, she'll do her yoga, and then we'll have breakfast. So during breakfast, that's where we start chatting, our first session of chatting. After that session of chatting, then she'll do a bit of her own work, I'll do a bit of my own work. And then we decide, it's time to watch drama.
Korean drama, the world-renowned Korean drama.
Yes, and then we watch drama together, and through the drama, we start discussing about life. Look, the empress did this thing. What do you think about? What do you think about how they feel about family values, right? And we bring it back to the normal topic that we have, and we look at, like, for example, how a person is reacting in a career, and then that's where we start discussing. If this happened in our real life, how would we actually do? So we use drama to start discussing a lot of things, and actually, then we start saying that one day 24 hours is not enough. And that's where then the two of us start talking about, how soon can I retire? Because we enjoy being together alone. I mean, together in this house.
Yeah.
Together all the time.
Yeah. So
it's kind of rehearsal for us to experience our retirement. It was a really great opportunity for us to feel it.
Yeah. And in order to, that during this season, I should call this a season, and I think the season come and go, springtime, winter time. During this pandemic season, there's a lot of strain. I should say that there's a lot of family issues. It could be parent, child, grandparents and grandchildren, and then husband, wife, because people are all put under one roof. And under very strenuous situation, and they put under one roof like house arrest. So is there for you, like if you think it through, and we are at the midpoint, right? When we've spoken about this in the pandemic, is there something that you think that you valued your time together? Was there something like maybe 3 factors that you can bring up that you could share with people? Hey, maybe these are the 3 factors that people can use that to make their household living a little bit better in this period of quarantine. A lot of countries are now really considering second round of quarantine in the winter time. Is that something that you want to share? Like if you think it through now, is there any 3 things that stands out that, hey, it can really, really help people?
I think perhaps I'm not so sure whether there's 3, but I think the one key point I would like to share, and it's something that I'm learning constantly from her, but I think it's something that both of us feel how life should be like in general. Like situations are always going to be there, right? And situations will not change because you can't control the situations, but what's important is how you can actually interpret the situation. And in the world, like if we believe in Buddhism, we believe in the global city, right? Everything that goes around will come around in a sense, right? So if you're talking about that, I think what's key and important then is that if you look at it and you focus on the negative, right? It's very easy for the negative energy to actually manifest, right? But if you look at it and interpret it in a positive manner, then that's where something then happens and magic can become a lot better, and ultimately you can be happier as well. So to give a very simple example, right? You could be stuck together with your family, right? And then you'll be thinking, the house is so small. I'm actually now constantly seeing my mom, seeing my dad, seeing my maid, and the dogs are barking and so on and so forth, and I have no space. I need
closing in,
able to express myself because this is not me. So that's you focusing on the negative area, right? But if you look at it from a different point, wow, I never knew that my mom actually likes to eat kaya toast for breakfast. And you are able to do that because you now have the opportunity to actually have breakfast with your mom. And if you focus on that, oh, today I learned something new about my mom. Tomorrow, I realized that my mom actually, after every morning, she enjoys to come back, and then she likes to be able to have a chat with my grandmother. Now I'm talking to my grandmother. Wow, I never spoke to my grandmother maybe, I don't know, 2 years in a row, perhaps. So these are things that if you start appreciating, right, in a sense, I think it will actually be a lot more useful and helpful.
What about So Young? Is there any 1 point, 2 point, 3 points as a woman of the house that you can that you think you have actually realized that hey, maybe some people can actually take some of these tips, apply it to a lot of us, and we all are still in the same situation, you know. For the next few months, we're still going to be under one roof.
Yeah,
I think a lot of us do need help, you know.
I think it is important for me. My first one is always my happiness comes first.
Happiness.
Yes, I have to express my feeling to my husband. I have
Mm.
to know what I enjoy. I enjoy my me time in the yoga room. I have
Wow.
my quiet moment. I want to have my meditation. I want to have my yoga, and all these things without hiding from him, or how long can we last to compress our feeling, right?
Yeah.
So let him know that what I enjoy, and then let him respect, and in return also open up the door for him to tell me what he likes, what he want me to respect. So I think love myself
Love
is
yourself.
definitely love my husband. And how to love myself, I need to know who am I, what I want, and then express to your family or your partner,
Express
and
your family, your partner.
so
Okay,
that
yeah, okay. Thank you so much, guys. I want to thank you once again for sharing. And you know, we had a 1 hour session, or slightly less than an hour, and it could go on. But you know, with this, even with this sharing session, I hope that once it's out, there'll be people who really will view this and take in a lot of things. Like for example, cultural exchange, right? How do you sink in? I think there are a few things Ling talked about: respect, tolerance, right? And you also need another party like So Young, who's actually gearing the relationship, easing it the relationship, bit by bit by bit, in a very gentle, unconscious way, you know, to a particular direction. I think that's very important. And also the context whereby you guys are really the kind of epitome of the cosmopolitan modern couple, right? International relationship and international marriages. So I would like to thank both of you and want to wish you and congratulations upon your, I think this is your 5th year of marriage, right? Congratulations. So with that, I'd like to thank you um, to Ling and to So Young. Thank you so much. And I have enjoyed it, and I hope that you can come back again. Thank you.